Hello?
Taka taka. Which one's real and which one's the recording? Taka taka. Taka taka. Which was which?
Well, I saw you move your mouth, so I know which is which.
Well, close your eyes.
Okay.
And tell me which one is real and which one is fake.
Okay.
Taka taka. Taka taka. Whoops, I
You
tried.
fucked up.
I tried to stop because I knew you could hear the background noise, and I was trying to mask it.
All right, go, do it again.
Taka taka. Taka taka.
That's the one you just did live.
No.
Yeah, it was because you don't do the same note. You go like da 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 da. Do you want me to play along?
That's fine. The game's over. You lost.
Great job. I won the game, and you can't handle that I won.
It's a secret recording at 3 o'clock. I've been asked not to say anything.
Oh, a secret recording.
I've been asked not to say anything.
From whom?
Well, we're recording right now, so I can't tell you while we're recording.
Someone I know?
So what's up? Can I tell you that I saw Cars 2, and my God, that movie sucks ass.
Oh, yeah. Why did you see Cars 2?
I don't know. It was
children?
It was on TV, and I started watching it. And I didn't watch it on TV. I know how you feel about that, but because I started watching it, and I had never seen it, I switched over to Disney Plus and watched it. It's some of the complaints about it are it's not, Cars 1 was a racing story, and they got away from the racing, and they should have been focused on the racing.
Yeah.
I don't care about that. I don't care that it was a spy story, but the fact that it centered around that fucking idiot Mater. It was the most.
Ew, I know, because it was so he was so popular.
Was he? Was he popular?
I mean, he was funny because he was funny in the first one. He was the comic relief.
I don't think he was ever funny, but I never saw the first one either, so I can't really speak to it.
The first one, I mean, I think people love the first one. I think visually it's kind of dull. It's like
where does it rank on your Pixar list? Because as I was watching
very low.
As I was watching this and hating Mater so much, I needed to find people who were like-minded and did a search. I hate Mater on Reddit. But one of the things I came across is these people, when they were writing about Cars, several of them, more than you would think, apparently have a ranking list of their Pixar movies because they all said, this is 18 on my Pixar list. And someone else said, it's not that bad. It's 14 on mine. It just surprised me that so many people had Pixar ranking lists.
Well, I think that would be pretty easy to put in a list.
It would be easy, but why? Why would you even do it?
Just to.
There's zero reason to do it.
Unless what's the reason for anything? It's just for, just to do it.
That aside, my God, Mater, what a fucking idiot.
And that whole thing, man.
And
it's like, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I always think about what a fake character he is, because I don't mind if that's your thing, right? If that's making you money, you rip the sleeves off of every shirt you own and you do your little comedy show.
Well, now you're just talking about now you're just talking about Larry the Cable Guy.
Well, that's who he is. That's who Mater is. He's just Larry the Cable Guy.
Who hires writers for his act.
And uses that voice and that persona like off the stage. And that is not his voice or his persona. Have you seen those videos of him doing stand-up in the 90s?
Yeah, I know that he's just pretty much himself, right?
Well, he's doing like a nebbishy, like New York Woody Allen thing.
No, so maybe he wasn't himself. He was, who knows what the real Larry the Cable Guy is.
He's a dark individual. You know what? Like the real Larry David, the Lawrence David. No, Larry David.
Yeah,
what's his name?
What are you talking about?
What's his name? Larry the Cable Guy.
Larry the Cable, Larry Cabe.
What's his Lawrence Cable is what I meant to say. He purchases like serial killer art, Hitler memorabilia.
Is this true?
No. I'm saying it just because he's really dark. He's like a dark dude.
Daniel Lawrence Whitney is his name.
Whitney.
Look, I don't, whether or not you like him aside, I'm with you on these things that we're talking about. He was cast to do that role. That's the way they wanted it done. So, I can't necessarily blame him, but the writing and the fact that they made him the main protagonist in the second Cars movie. And, you're supposed to feel compassion at some point because Lightning Jack Queen said, I'd get out of here. You cost me a race. Oh, boo-hoo. I'm such a fucking idiot. Nobody wants me around. I had zero compassion. None of it worked. Queen McQueen, Lightning Jack McQueen. Is that the...
McQueen.
What's that?
Lightning McQueen.
Yeah, I had it right. He has every right to be angry because the idiot... And I like the way we're talking about this movie as if it just came out. But to me, it's new. I had never seen it. The idiot was on the radio and
2006
distracting him. He was distracting him during the big race with that cocky fucking Formula One car. And yeah, I would say, you're embarrassing. I can't stand you being around. He had every right to be angry. And then, I'm supposed to feel for him. I didn't feel for him once throughout the movie.
Well, that's the thing. In Cars 1, you were meant to have an emotional response to the plot. Whereas Cars 2 was mostly about we got to get Mater in there. Well, what is Mater? He's a dummy, dumb. So then that's what they're basing the story out of, not actual reasons to care.
Yeah, it felt like, I guess there was, it felt like it should have been a 30-minute show. And I guess through my research, there was a series of shorts with.
Well, there always is with so many of these things. Ratatouille has a series of shorts. All the Toy Story stuff. There's a really funny one for Toy Story 4 or whatever with Forky. It's called Forky Asks a Question.
I'm sure they're good.
Yeah, they are good. They're funny.
I was just surprised they got Michael Caine for Cars 2.
Oh, Michael Caine does a lot of weird shit.
They lured him in.
He's not I
can't believe Owen Wilson got $2.5 million to do not even a third of the movie. He's barely in Cars 2.
I can't believe that we don't talk about Owen Wilson trying to commit suicide.
Why should we talk about that?
It's just something we never talk about anymore. It happened, and I think everybody there was a weird reaction to that news when that happened. That he had a suicide attempt. And then, he's always been this oh shucks kind of guy in every movie in his whole personality. And then to find out that he has such a darkness in him that is what he would result. Well, that's what he would go toward.
What should the response be to it? I don't understand why we should all be clamoring about Owen Wilson attempting to kill himself.
No, I just I think what I'm talking about is how it made us all feel, and we didn't really talk about it. I think it freaked everybody out.
Well, he's still around.
Because when somebody kills themselves, it still freaks us out. But when it's an attempt and they're still alive, and then they go on to continue with their career.
Yeah, great.
He disappeared for a long time. Oh, I'm not saying he shouldn't continue with his career. I just think it's I don't know. Every time I see him or hear about him, I think is he okay?
I think it's strange that you feel less than fulfilled that about the amount of talk surrounding Owen Wilson.
It's not about what I'm getting from it. It's just, I don't know. I think everybody felt a certain way, and I think it made a lot of people uncomfortable. And I think it's interesting when an entire, I don't know. I just thought about a lot of people feeling the same way about something that made everybody uncomfortable, and we don't really talk about it.
Yeah, because it's not about us. Fuck us. It's about him.
It's not about, whatever he is doing is different. How it made us feel is about us.
Sure, but the person, when somebody commits suicide and they unfortunately are no longer around, then you talk about it, and yes, their family's around, and that's probably difficult for them and their loved ones. I don't think, it should be printed and headlined and splashed everywhere, but
yeah,
when the person's alive, maybe there's a little bit of respect. It's you know what? They're battling some stuff. Let's not make it all about us because, I feel weird because that guy that I think I know from movies who plays this character who seems happy. Just leave it. And then
Okay.
he's around and he's doing the Marry Me movie with J-Lo.
He's just like diving right back into garbage movies.
I went to see it.
You did?
I have the Regal pass, so why not?
How was it?
It's exactly.
Was it charming?
No,
Was
it's
it
exactly.
absolutely charming?
It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. Like, I wouldn't pay to go see it, but because I went in, I was like, this is. Like, I'm laughing at certain points just because of how ridiculous the premise is, where he goes to that concert with his daughter and Sarah Silverman hands him a sign to hold for a minute that says, "Marry me." And then she gets, some bad news up on stage when she's supposed to be having her wedding, J-Lo, and he's holding the sign. And she says, fine, let's do it. It's like, of course, you have to laugh because it's so dumb.
Wow.
But other than that, it's exactly what you think. It doesn't do too much. It's the poor man's Notting Hill. Well, maybe the rich woman's Notting Hill. Because you live much more in her world than you ever.
In Notting Hill?
No, in this one.
In this one, oh, okay.
You're around the riches much more. You don't see the riches too much, except for that one hotel room where Alec Baldwin comes in and took out my trash.
What?
In Notting Hill.
I guess I've never seen Notting Hill.
Oh. Well, at some
Not I guess. I know I haven't.
At some point, he goes to the hotel. Hugh goes
Oh, he does?
to see her. Or he's supposed to meet her there. And then by the time he gets there, Alec Baldwin, who's her Hollywood boyfriend, is there. And then so he has to pretend he's a guy who works for the hotel. And then Alec Baldwin's like, good. Take out my trash.
Gosh, should I watch Notting Hill?
I find Notting Hill to be charming. The Lizard Man from The Amazing Spider-Man, the one that came out after the Tobey Maguire with Andrew Garfield, is the goofy flatmate.
Oh, that's that Julia Roberts movie.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, I don't know if I can watch this movie.
Don't watch it.
Okay. Man, don't you think so? I'm looking at the pictures of her in the movie, and she looks like she's dressed like Meg Ryan. And I don't know whether that's the sign of the times. Like, she looks like they could have like plucked her out and put in Meg Ryan. It'd be the same thing. Do you think Meg Ryan could have done this movie instead of Julia Roberts?
Possibly.
She's wearing clothes that look like You've Got Mail.
Yeah, that's probably more just as. I think this came out before You've Got Mail. So You've Got Mail stole from Notting Hill. If I'm correct on my release years.
Bouquet of Sharpened Pencils.
Let's see. Oh, never mind. I guess. Wow,
1999.
It came out in 99. Wow.
When did You Got Mail come out?
I would guess
98.
96. Oh, 98.
98.
Well, they were shot simultaneously, probably.
They probably were.
Just a sign of the time.
Man, I was trying to come up with that guy's name from The Abyss, and it was on the radio, and Eric was like, I was like, the guy, he was in The Abyss, and he was like, Chris, what's his name? Fuck, I can't remember. He's on Schitt's Creek. He's like the mayor.
But you're still trying to find it. I thought this was a story you were telling me.
Ugh, hold on.
I've never watched Schitt's Creek. I refuse to on the name alone.
He was he's like a famous, he was on he was on Letterman. He had a show, like a TV show in the 90s that had the REM song that Stand in the Place Where You Live. Chris something.
I'll let you work through it.
Such a fucking mom who can't remember. Chris Elliott. Why did I remember? It's Ellie's name, Chris Elliott. I'll always remember it now. It's my mom's name, Chris, and my daughter's named Elliott. Okay. Anyway, so I was trying to think of hold on. Get this. Let me find the name, every name I need. Hold on. Ed Harris. Okay. I didn't remember Ed Harris's name. And so I was trying to come up with it. And I was like, that guy from The Abyss. And Eric's like, oh, that's my favorite Chris Elliott movie. I just thought that was funny. And now it makes no sense why I'm talking about it because the moment has passed, but I had to get through it. I'm sorry that I brought the show to a halt. Welcome to One Topic, where we stick to one topic. My stomach just made a noise, and I don't know if it picked up on my microphone. I'm Autumn Fisher.
I didn't hear it, so
Okay,
you
cool.
could have gotten away with it, but now we all know that you're a disgusting human being with bodily functions happening as you
Ew.
record. There's just shit sitting inside of your body right now. It's just
Yeah.
in there. Your body a pocket, cradling it, holding it until it's time to be released.
Tenderly moving it through my body,
I think about that quite
absorbing its nutrients.
And I think about that too often, especially in crowded locations like the subway or a stadium that's sold out for the big game of sorts, whatever the game
Like
may
if you
be.
could make everything invisible in people's bodies except for their shit. Think about what that's like in a gigantic stadium. And then like people playing football full of shit.
Yes, it's everywhere. It's constantly moving about, just living inside people's bodies. I mean, it's very strange to even eat before it turns to poop. That you have something that's in front of you, and then the next thing you know, it's inside of you. And I know that we've talked about the technicality that it's not really inside of you once you eat it, but don't need to go there.
Your digestive system is not inside your body.
But it's there, and then it's being carried around in a pocket inside your
And
abdomen.
then you move around with it. And
Yeah.
people jump on trampolines and they fly airplanes and they jump out of airplanes. Just their bodies full of poop
everywhere.
everywhere.
Very
When you
rarely.
look up at a building, if you see a tall apartment building, like one of those big apartment condos, right? And you think about every toilet and every person in there that poops, just toilet, their pipes of poop just running down.
Yeah, that was my thing. Don't steal my thing.
No,
Don't
I
take this
said
from
it.
me. I've said this.
We were in New York together, and I told
No, I said
to you
this
about it,
years
and then
ago.
you said, "Yeah, I say that too."
I said it years ago that stealing other people's things and trying to present,
steal
and then
it.
being caught by presenting it to the person who came up with it. Then maybe
No,
it works.
I s-
Maybe it works
listen.
at your parties. Then you can bring it up, and I'm fine. I'm happy for you to take it and present it as your
I
own.
didn't. Listen, when I was saying it just now, I was remembering the time I told you that, and that you said that is something that you think about too when you look up at the buildings.
If they're,
So we had thought of the same thing.
if they're translucent and you can see the pipes, and they would just be human waste cascading down at all times, and it's running underneath our feet, under the streets. You can even go take a tour of the big center where they process it. I don't know why
Where
you'd
they-
want to.
They take our sewage, right? And the water treatment plants. That's what they do, right? They like filter out everything, all the waste, right? And then it's turned back into water and redistributed.
I don't think it's put right back into the.
I didn't say that. They filter it out. They remove all the waste in whatever ways they do that, and then it's put back into our water system to drink.
No, that's what I mean. I don't think it's put right back into the system.
What does it do?
I think I think over time it can find itself back in our drinking water because it's released back into waterways. But like here in New York, the closest waterways have salt water in them. So I don't think that the water here is probably being released into the East River. And then from there, it's not being used again to drink. In certain localities, I'm sure, I guess the river's fresh water, however the processing it. And then at some point downstream, people are pulling it back in. So yes, it's not so direct, I guess is what I'm saying. It's not just put back in some pipes that then goes right to someone else's sink. I think it's released into water supplies. It can be used to water crops.
Oh, okay. So not potable.
But I'm sure there's a place. There could be a place that maybe doesn't have water as an available resource where maybe it does immediately go back. And people are drinking it right after it's been processed. But obviously it's fine. No one's dying.
Well, because isn't it? I thought that it was put back into our water system only because people talk about the number of people taking antidepressants and that some of those are ending up back into the water system that we drink because of how the water's treated.
Where did this come from?
I don't know.
You don't remember where you heard it?
No. But I think that
I think it's a very important thing. If you hear something and you're going to present it, and then you don't know where it came from, I think it's pretty funny.
No, because it's just something I heard a billion years ago.
Do you believe it?
No, but that's why I started that sentence with that's why I thought that. It went right back in, is because I had heard this.
It could be true. Like maybe it was a one-off situation. I see when these things happen, I think they get blown out of proportion. Like maybe that is something that happened in some kind of locality where the water is put more directly back in. And then I think it just becomes widespread. It's like, oh my God, this exists everywhere. And then the urban legend kind of grows out of it. So, you know, it's probably, I don't want to say it's not a lie or it's not true. It just, who knows? I don't know enough to speak to it.
Okay, it goes into, what happens to the treated water when it leaves the wastewater treatment plant? The treated water is released into local waterways where it's used again for any number of purposes, such as supplying drinking water, irrigating crops, and sustaining aquatic life.
There you go.
All right, so it's both. We were both right.
I mean, at some point, if we really want to get down to it, at some point, yes, we've probably drank cleaned toilet water.
Yeah.
It's happened. I mean, you think
I remember
about
on Dirty Jobs, he went and was like in one of those tanks that you have to clean out that like cleaned the doo-doo caca out of the water.
Well, septic tanks. I was very interested in how they worked. I feel like we talked about it on the show, in the pre-show or something.
I don't understand how septic tanks work either. It is just like a cave of shit and pee.
Well, it's a big tank.
And toilet paper?
Yeah, toilet paper is designed specifically to break down. It disintegrates so that it's pretty much nothing. If you put a napkin down into the sewers, it's not good. But if you put it in a septic tank, it's really not good because it's not ever going anywhere.
Okay.
And the water flows into the septic tank. It's got a couple compartments in there. Over time, solid wastes fall to the bottom. And I think those are called, what is it? There's scum, which is the top. Oils float to the top.
Okay.
Sludge falls to the bottom.
Ew, what a perfect word for that.
Yeah, so sludge, all the solid wastes that come out of your body fall to the bottom. And then, because kitchen drains and stuff are also attached to it, oils and greases, and it's also, you know, in your waste, that floats to the top, and that's the scum. And then the water, in essence, that water is not treated, and you shouldn't be drinking it. But
effluent is what it's called.
Yeah, then there's a field where it's released. So when the tank is full enough, I think there's these...
Oh, I see it.
It just seeps out into a field and then back into the groundwater probably at some point. And if you have well water, then you probably are drinking it.
Wow.
Because usually on lands that have septic tanks and houses...
Oh, there's like a green path.
You're using well water.
Well, I remember now. Okay, so I'm seeing the pipe, and it goes back into soil absorption after, you know, some of the water.
And that filters it.
Right. But then I remember the house I grew up in, there was like this green path and then this like patch of big green grass. And I guess that's where the soil distribution area was for our septic tank.
It probably was.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so anytime you flush something into a septic tank, food, hygiene products, condoms.
This is you. You're talking about yourself. I've never put food down my toilet.
Well, when you don't have a fucking garbage disposal, what do you expect? I'm getting defensive here. What do you expect me to do? You have leftover
Put
soup.
it in your trash?
Leftover soup. You're going to put the soup in the trash, so you have a big liquid bag?
You drain it, and then you put the solids from the soup into the trash.
No, I'll dump it into the toilet and flush it right into the sewer system, and then it becomes someone else's problem, and it can contribute to the giant fatberg that's growing.
Oh, is that what it's called? Fatberg, right?
Yeah.
Fatberg.
When people in houses and buildings that are connected to sewers, that's what ends up growing. All the hair and all the solids, they just start to clump up, and over time they become so big they can clog the whole system. So these big
like those exfoliating things that women typically use that ended up being like, I think they've started to ban them because of the tiny bits of plastic that they're made of instead of like a natural material. Like ended up clogging a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, it all gets
And also
clogged.
all those flushable wipes are not flushable.
No, they're not. Toilet paper is the only thing that actually disintegrates, which makes sense because anyone who's ever wet toilet paper, it's, I'm going to wipe up this spill with toilet paper. Dumb idea. Don't do it. We've all learned toilet paper doesn't hold, and that's the reason. But those flushable wipes, I'm surprised they get away with that they can just call them flushable.
I know. How do they do that? Could you just call anything flushable? Even though, I mean, if it can go down, then it is flushable. But if it's meant to be flushed, is what I'm reading the word flushable to mean.
They're likely to get stuck in a drain pipe and build up over time, and they cause a clogged drain. They can make it through the curved part of your toilet.
Right. So that's what they mean by flushable. You will be able to flush this.
Yeah, but they don't fall apart when they're wet, so they just exist.
Right. Should you flush it?
No, I have a clogged drain now in the shower, and I don't know why. And it just happened out of nowhere so quickly. Like it's still
hair.
Even the drain itself is catching hair. I guess some gets through, and it's at the point where it backs up now. So you take a shower and it comes up to your shins.
Oh, I hate that.
And I have to go get some Drano, I guess, to pour down there.
But then I hear Drano's really horrible too.
It is.
Especially
Everything's
with
horrible.
old pipes.
What you should really do is get a professional plumber in, but it was time for that. At my last apartment, the same thing happened, and Drano wasn't working, and it was just backing up. And at some point, it seemed like food was coming up, and it didn't seem like raw sewage. I was worried about that, but I think there's a separation in the sinks and the toilet. Those pipes eventually get to the same place, but when they're in the house, I think it makes sense that a kitchen sink, would be connected to the bathroom sink pipe, where that kind of water. So it seems like people in their kitchens upstairs were putting some kind of food down because like spinach and stuff would come up, and it was still gross. Don't get me wrong.
Ew, that's horrible.
Even if it's not someone's poop, it was still gross. And I was like, all right, I can't do this. And the plumber came, used a snake. I didn't see what they did because they actually did it when I was gone, but I came back and it stunk. And I don't know if it was the chemicals they used, but I'm sure that they snaked it, and God knows what came up. And part of me thinks that whatever they pulled up is where that smell came from.
Well, don't you think it was that it released the gas in the line?
Yeah, possibly.
Which I guess could hurt you, right? Like that, you're not meant to breathe in that air. And that's why we have the curved pipe in the toilet, is to keep the smell, the gas... or something. I don't know whether it can hurt you or not. Maybe it can't. Maybe it's just like, it's just gross. People don't want to smell it.
Is that I mean, in the sink, I know it's the trap. There's a reason for the curve, and I'm sure there's several reasons. Yeah. With a sink, the trap, if you drop something down, like a ring, it's not really going to get flushed away unless there's just high water pressure running through. And you can retrieve it, which I never would. If I drop something, I don't want to know what's in the trap. It seems very disgusting to me. The drains to me are one of the things. This wasn't supposed to be a topic, but I feel like we're talking about drains and water.
We don't have a topic. It's fine.
No, we can't just keep not having a topic. But the topic originally was motivation. And you said with fervor, motivation. And I said, yeah. And then I looked into it because I felt as though we had already done it. And we did in September. Not even that long ago. This past September 2021.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Oops.
So I do think, the curve thing, you're right in the sense that it keeps the gas from coming back up because it creates an air bubble, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a barrier, a natural barrier there, that way that the gas isn't coming back into the house. So probably that's what happened when it stunk. It smelled for days though. It was pretty disgusting. I was happy that the drain was unclogged.
Right. But then would you do it again? You're like, maybe I'll just leave it so I don't have to have the smell.
I just in general, I had to clean out the drain in the sink. It was draining slowly, and then all that toothpaste gunk builds up, and the amount of hair. So I took a screwdriver, and then I put a little hook on it, created with a paper clip, and just the crap I was pulling up with that. I'm not.
See, I can't do stuff like that.
I'm not germophobic.
Yeah.
I don't overthink any of this, but drains to me are absolutely disgusting. I will not.
They are.
Yeah, it's where all the filth flows. It's where it leaves your life, and it should never be thought of or heard from or smelled again. And when it is,
And then here you are having to like dig through it.
well, it's amazing the amount of hair that comes off my body when I shower.
Yeah, it's you're all over your body, not just your head.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's coming off at all parts of my body, and
Yeah.
because there's the type of drain catches the hair, it's all just collected there at the end.
Are
And
you picking it out?
yeah, it has to be picked out.
You have like a special type of drain thing to collect the hair, or is it just a drain?
no, it's just this drain that has smaller holes on it.
Oh, okay, so maybe you need another one.
Some of it's getting down. Not all the hair is being collected, but it traps.
That's what I
most of it.
mean.
At the last shower that I'm talking about, there was nothing there. It was just a hole. It just went down in there. And if you peered down into it, yeah, just even looking briefly.
Like a golf ball could fall down it?
No, because there was like a
Ping pong ball?
No, the opening wasn't that big. There was also a cross section down there that would have caught something like that.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, it was
the
big.
worst is
It was
that
big enough to wash a roach down, a giant palmetto bug.
the worst thing about those shower ones, especially if you have a dude in the house, is like having to scoop, and like pull stuff out of that drain. And yeah, it's full of hair. And is that conditioner? I hope. Otherwise, it might. It's something else. It's something else.
Well, I think the main thing you're talking about dude's hair, but women's hair being so long.
Yeah,
that's or a guy with long hair, just long hair in general, is worse, I think, than the body hair. The body hair can catch up and tangle.
Well, the body hair's smaller, like shorter. I mean,
yeah, it can certainly tangle with other things that are there. I think for the most part, it's okay until you just get all that scum and little globule of goo and
what is it?
Lint and skin.
Yeah, it's skin. Ew, our skin. Ugh. Yeah, so when I take a shower, I condition my hair and I put my fingers through my hair and pull out, like all of the sort of loose hair that's going to come out and would have ended up in the drain, and I put it on my shower wall, and that way I don't have my drain doesn't get clogged up anymore.
You just have to remember to take it off the shower wall, else it just collects.
Sometimes
there.
I don't, and it's kind of fun. Well, you can wait for it to dry, and then it comes off really easy.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun.
It is fun.
I do want to call attention to the fact I know I said globule instead of globule. I put an extra L
I didn't
in there.
notice. Blah blah blah.
I know you didn't notice because you would have called me out because you would have done that. You're like, blah, 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 blah. You would have mocked it. But I was aware, and I thought maybe I should let this go on. But then I thought of all the people listening, thinking, what an idiot. So I had to call it out and suffer your wrath. So go ahead. Go ahead. I said globule.
Globule.
It's a difficult word to say.
Absolutely. I have trouble with rural.
Globule.
Rural.
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 Rural. That's why some people say that. Rural.
Uh-huh. Rural. I just say this.
You just meld it all together. There's some words that I will just avoid because they're difficult to pronounce.
Like a guy's named Roy.
Accompany.
Ooh.
I just said it correctly, but accompany can be hard sometimes. If I'm saying it quickly, accompanying, I think it's accompany's
That makes sense. Accompanying, because you have to like it's
Accompanying.
because nobody says accompanying.
I will
It's
avoid it.
almost like British at that point, like accompanying.
Yeah, maybe works better with a British pronunciation, with
Yeah,
our
accompanying.
our stupid American pronunciation.
Aluminum foil. Fuck
Aluminium.
out of here. It's aluminium. Every other thing is an eum except for the one that we decided was aluminum.
You know, in this discussion, that stench that came up out of my drain, like came back.
Yeah.
I can smell it. It's such a distinct smell.
I know what you're talking about. That's why I was wondering if it really did last that long or if it just like stuck in your
Maybe it
nose.
is so bad. Maybe that's you know, as you said, the curved pipes, the traps are obviously there to stop the stench from coming up, and outside of it being noxious,
Mhm.
I think that maybe it does linger. It's got to be very heavy particles that just stick to everything.
Ew. Does that mean that they're large particles or is that they're so small that they can like fill a room?
They're sticky,
They're
let's say.
sticky.
They just coat everything, and then they
Yeah,
don't
have a
dissipate.
layer of sludge.
They don't dissipate. It's so crazy to think that there was trial and error to this, right?
Yeah.
The same thing with airplane windows. They're round because if you look up the first planes that had square windows, it put too much stress and it caused a plane crash at some point.
Wow.
just
A crash?
Yeah, because it's something about the pressure in the cabin that just a square window
Wow.
with the corners cracked. There was a plane crash, and trial and error had to happen with. I know that
Toilets?
well, sewage, like having direct connections to sewage, a sewer in the first place. What an invention! You have running water in your house, and you can just take a dump, and you don't have to worry about any of it anymore. But at some point, I do wonder if it's like, oh, we just put straight pipes in there. We didn't think about it. And just the backup, like the way that it could back up sometimes, and it would just come pouring out with its smell all over somebody's floor. And then they were longing for the days of taking a bedpan and dumping it on the street and having a sweeper come through. Some guy's job just sweep up all like a certain time of the day. It's like time to throw out our bedpans, but you had to store them until it was that time of the day. And they just sat there with your.
And then do you run the risk of tossing it out your window onto someone on the street?
I think so. You should probably look. You should probably look ahead to make
Look up.
sure. Well, I mean, before you throw it, I think about. Obviously, people aren't throwing. Most people, I would hope, maybe somebody out there, but most people aren't throwing their shit out the window here in New York. But as you walk, there's so much shit that could fall on you that's not actual human shit.
Oh.
Which parts of facades on buildings fall and smash people in the head, and air conditioners, and it happens rarely, but it also happens enough that there are stories about it that are easily found.
Right.
I
mean, that's the dangers of living in the city, I guess.
Yeah, even somebody committing suicide, jumping off of a building,
Right.
could land on you. So, but you can't walk around with your looking up. You just have to be careful that angel's head, the gargoyle sculpture, doesn't fall on me.
It feels like if that happens to you, because it has to be like pinpoint accurate for like when you're walking, when you decided to leave that day, you'd made that turn at exactly the right moment, that thing up above you, the angel head, was cracking and was teetering on fire. You know what I mean? It's like it was your time. And if you missed it, then it was going to be like Final Destination, and you were going to get it some way or another.
There are building inspectors that are supposed to look for these things, but there's so many buildings in New York. But they will, quite often, if there's scaffolding around the building that's older, unless they've decided to, maybe the owner, it's not always the case, has decided that they want to fix up the outside. But a lot of the times, my old building, the one on Sullivan, something fell off the top, and immediately, like the day after, scaffolding was up. They take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, they have to.
Like, put this up now, and if you don't, I don't know what the fines are. I'm trying to look into this. I was hoping you would talk more, but you didn't, because I was trying to do some research into the square windows.
Oh, in the airplane.
Yeah.
Well, now we've gone into something else.
Well,
Not
no, we
away
can get
from
back to the
toilet.
pipes and water and running water and what a brilliant thing. How amazing
Uh-huh.
is it to have water that's coming straight to your house?
Well, I was thinking about it today. I was at brunch and I went to the bathroom and I was thinking about the stall doors and how a lot of people from other countries come to the United States and then they're freaked out by the bathroom stalls having such large gaps in between and underneath the stall. Like it just seems like not very private, and how it doesn't bother me at all just because I'm so, it's just what I grew up with, and how other people grow up with just like that squatty hole that you like hover over, and that's normal for them. But for us, it would be weird. But anyway,
I've never
then
gotten used to it. I still hate our stalls, but go ahead. Just
I
because
just
I've
don't,
been
I mean, I don't
subject
hate
to them.
them. I get it. I understand why someone would be like freaked out by it.
I don't get why they do it. Why can't you just put floor to ceiling? It's not that difficult.
I know. I don't. It really just seemed like somebody made this type of stall, and that was just, we all just were like, yep, that kind. That's it in every single bathroom, unless it's a very fancy place that has like an individual room with a door from like top to bottom. But yeah, but I was thinking about it while I was in there, and I thought, man, this is just like in the middle of a restaurant. I'm just like emptying my body of its, waste. And isn't that interesting? We just all just have and I thought, if we didn't have this system, where would I go? I guess I'd like go outside and squat. You know what I mean? I know that this is an ancient technology. It's fine.
Somewhere
But-
there'd be a hole, or if there was a creek, you could
Yeah.
have an outhouse over that, and then it just washed down, and who knows where it went at that point.
The outhouse just landed in a like a cesspool. It was a pit.
Yeah, depending on the type of outhouse. Some were over running water. Maybe the rich people had running water. I had my own.
If they were like near a river or something.
Yeah, and they're just polluting that water.
Yeah, but I mean,
If you live
are
near a
fish
river,
polluting the water?
yes, they are. I went snorkeling once. I've told this story, but I got out immediately once I watched the fish pooping. The ocean's a disgusting place. It's wholly polluted with
Full of
wastes of
sperm.
animals. It's everything. Like we dump our waste there, but then the animals living in there. I guess just because it's so big, and then the salt is helping. It doesn't. Most of it, I think, has just got to be dilution. It's
Right,
So
yeah.
so diluted because it's
Well,
so
and other
big.
animals eat the poop, I'm sure.
it's just so big. It's like, yeah, it's in here, but it's spread out. It's
Yeah.
not concentrated in any meaningful way.
But I guess when you're, yeah, how does that work? So, like, humans can contaminate a body of water with their waste, and it makes people sick. But fish and things can poop in the water, and everybody's okay.
I think it's just the sheer number of it. When humans were dumping things into rivers and oceans and other bodies of water, it certainly had an effect on the living things. I know you're just saying if you leave it alone and the fish are there just to poop in their own environment, and that's not
Yeah,
necessarily hurting the other fish that are around. Again, I just don't think it's concentrated enough.
I mean, there's lots of fish, like spawning salmon and stuff. They're all over the place. How come?
I mean, if you look at it, though, a lot of it's a cloud that just shoots out and it dissipates
I
almost
see.
immediately. It's not all solid. When I was watching these fish poop, it was coming out of their butts like a cloud. It's like, whoa. But that's what grossed me out more, because then you couldn't even avoid it.
Right.
And it's like, oh, this
It
is
was
everywhere.
just a part of your surroundings now.
Yes.
So what is the least harmful way for humans, as in human, like, not just our society, but if we didn't have this system in place, what is the best way for us to dispose of our waste? Is it just to be in the ground? It shouldn't be in our drinking water.
I don't
So
think
you'd have to, so you can't use the river. You
And
can't involve water.
it was a
anymore.
real problem in cities.
Well, that's why like the French thought that water killed you, like water was bad for you.
Yeah, because there was no good way to do it.
Right.
Any high concentration of people in cities before industrial revolution and running water, and this, there was a lot of disease, a lot of outbreak, and you wouldn't want to touch the water.
Right.
They weren't nice places to live. I guess people were drawn to them because there were jobs.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, and again, we're talking about, I guess, industrial revolution times when people really started moving of all classes and it really got dense and dirty and mills were burping out. So like the fact that Pittsburgh at some point with the steel mills, that in the middle of the day it was dark because the air was so polluted.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, these weren't places that were really pleasant to live.
Why did people go to cities then?
Jobs. They were jobs.
But then why were so many like homeless? Like Oliver Twist and like, you know, Les Miserables.
Well, there's always reasons people can't get jobs, I guess.
Yeah.
There's going to be some people who aren't working.
Okay. None of them had running water.
You could make the argument that, you know, people now, and some people do with the homeless population, just go get a job. Yeah, I guess the person could go get a job. Usually there are other factors in play as to why they're not getting a job.
If mental illness isn't the reason, then if you're homeless, you have to have an employer that takes a gamble on you because you don't have a way of saying like, send my money here. This is where I live.
I mean, that is a big part of it, right? At some point,
yeah.
If you've been homeless, then people look down on you, and then most people aren't going to want to give you a job. So you kind of get stuck in it.
They might not trust you.
You get stuck in it. It's also ridiculous that we still, you know, it's like having a job means you're a good, responsible person. I'm not anti-work. I think life's too boring. You know, there's balance to it. People who have spent so much time working, 80 hours a week, that's work-life balance is important. And I don't think
I agree. It's kind of become I don't know, what is it called? Commoditized? What?
I don't know, finish the thought.
By people saying like work-life balance, you know, like, and just to push some strange agenda that they have. But it is true. If you spend all of your energy sort of working towards some goal that isn't going to happen until you can retire, then what have you done? What have you done? You kind of have lost sight about what life is about.
Well, at some point we were all fed this fucking story and we bought it that working and being productive is how you prove your value and dedicating your life to your job. And as a man, you need to provide for your family and you have to do that by working. And then, you know, people buy into this and then employers take advantage of it. And you don't want it. There's shame.
Don't talk about your salary to anybody at work. Never tell your salary.
Which salary should be shared across the board. That should be written on a whiteboard so everybody knows and there's transparency. But, you know, there's little games being played around every corner. And the reason the information is power. So they don't want you to know what other people are making. And, you know, there was shame around not working. If you got laid off, it's like an embarrassing thing. Shh, don't tell anyone else. I'm very ashamed by this, which shouldn't be.
No, whose fault was it?
But that's the thing. Like people really bought into it. And I think it's unhealthy that your identity is your work. Now, some things you're going to get a little more involved in. If you're a doctor, you spend a lot of time learning and practicing to become a doctor. And it's a little more consuming than certain jobs. So, yes, some jobs are going to be more of a lifestyle than others. But I don't think that spending all your time working and then you're just old and you're supposed to enjoy it when you can barely move anymore. It's like, now go enjoy your life. It's like, nah, no thanks.
Especially people like us who have started careers a bit later, you know, like maybe that sort of blueprint could have worked when you started working, you know, in your early 20s and you stayed at a company until you were 65 or whatever.
Well, that was the thing too. It's like loyalty to the company.
Yeah.
You better have loyalty to your company.
Oh, why have you worked at so many different places?
Well, at some point, loyalty kind of went both ways. Well, I'm not... Workers, I think, for the most part, were taken advantage of, but there were employers that would provide pensions and you would retire at a certain point and you would still make your money And all of that's out the window now. And then at some point, loyalty was expected by the employee, but the employer would have no problem getting rid of you in a blink of an eye. And we're at the point where it doesn't exist. I'm not going to stick with one company out of blind loyalty. I've already worked for so many companies, and part of that's the nature of the work I've gotten into with radio and media in general. Moving to video production, it's still media, and it's not as secure. There's constant changes of ownership, and especially in radio, no money, and they have to lay people off. And I guess that aside, I wouldn't be blindly loyal to any one company. I just view it as I'm a professional. You pay me to do a job, I'm going to do the job well. And that's the most you're going to get out of me. And I don't think that's wrong. I'm not going to invest more of my energy. I'm not going to devote myself to the company any more than that. But that's not a bad thing.
No, just like, I mean, well, I was going to say they shouldn't dedicate more time to you. But I don't know how I feel about that now.
Maybe they should dedicate more time to their employees. I don't know if it's time. Thought is more of what I'm thinking.
The thing is that you can't.
I don't want their time. I don't want them even talking to me. And this isn't about my company now, just in general. And
so letting you do your job and do it well, because you know that you're going to do your job and do it as well as you can, and you're going to put forth the effort that's required for the job. But your sort of definition or sort of spectrum for what is good work is going to be different than others. And so as a company or an employer, if people are going to take different types of working motivations, right? So like for you, it's good to just like let you do your thing. You'll ask questions if you need it, let you go and work. Whereas other people, maybe it takes more hand holding, or checking in and like working with them. And maybe
they're not children. I don't mind women working with the people. No. Mm-hmm. No one needs everyone should just present themselves as competent. And if you're not, then sorry, then you have to struggle at that point.
Not to say you can't ask questions or figure things out with
somebody.
No,
I'm not saying that. Ask questions. There's learning curves, and if you take it seriously, no one goes in and knows everything and is perfect all the time. But there are some people who's like, I don't know. There are some people who shouldn't be working because they suck and they don't buy into the the arrangement, the agreement that I have in my head. It's like, hey, if someone is paying you, just do what you're being paid for. If you feel like you're not being paid enough, then it's not as easy as getting what you're worth, and it's not as easy to just quit a job and have no income, because most people don't have the ability to do that because they won't be able to survive as they look for a new job. But in a situation where the money is fair for the work that you're doing, then you give that level of work.
I think it would be nice. I think the way to I was thinking about the employee that needs like all their handheld whatever, and you're right. They're not a child. They need to be competent. They need to have been hired and vetted to be competent enough to do their job with the inside the environment that's there, within the parameters that are set, and do their job right. It makes me think that you're not like that because, you got into it because of this, major that you chose right out of high school, and you're just doing, and you've never been in a real job experience where, you don't know the answer to something, and you have to solve it for yourself. It's not like. I think an immature approach, right, is I've come across a problem and now I'm stuck and I can't really go because I don't know. I just don't know what to do. Instead of being proactive and like, all right, well, let's figure out how to solve this problem by myself. If I can't, I'll ask colleagues or I'll email somewhere to talk to somebody, whatever. But just to be like, I don't know. I think that kind of stuff and needing all that hand holding and like checking in, maybe that comes from not being given the – space and time between high school and either Yeah, and choosing what you're supposed to be doing for the rest of your life by spending all this money at a college and getting and just choosing a major that you're like, I don't know, I guess this. You know, when you're 20 years old and you have no concept of
It's rushed.
who you are or what you even like to do.
Yeah, it's rushed. You're supposed to jump into it immediately, and that's one of the problems. And
I'll encourage my kids, like, don't go straight to college. I don't care what any fucking senior year people are doing. Like, oh, what college they can do? Oh, you have to do this. This will be good on your transcripts. No, who gives a shit? I don't care. Go chill. Go work on a cruise ship. Have some experiences.
I don't know if I don't know if the experiences you want in your life are on a cruise ship. Are they found on a cruise ship?
It can be. I don't know. That's what I'm just saying. Like, the only reason why I bring that up.
Ever been on a cruise?
What?
Have you ever been on a cruise?
I have no interest on going on a cruise.
That's the reason I bring.
But if you're working on a cruise ship, I bet you it's kind of like you're meeting all kinds of different people from all different places. There's billions of jobs. You know, there's like entertainment side. There's like the cooking side. There's the serving side. There's the hotel-ish side. There's all these things, right? I'm just saying. The only reason why I talked about that was because
there was cruise ship, the ideal environment.
It's not. God damn it.
All compact into one little ship. To one little ship. I'm sorry to throw you off. Get back on your
No,
point.
I'm done with that now.
Because I brought up the cruise ship. Cruise ship
shitting all over this thing I'm trying to say. It could be anything. It could be like, go do something. Never mind. I'm pissed.
Don't shut down just because
I'm done.
I just I got distracted because you brought up cruise ship. And I thought about being young and saying I'm going to go explore the world, and I'm going to do that by working on a cruise ship.
It wasn't about exploring the world. It was about having
exploring
experiences.
Myself. Yeah, having experiences on a cruise ship.
Okay, yeah.
Anyway, I apologize.
Thank you. I tried to stay on track 4 times and you kept interrupting me.
No, we're way off track.
Stupid idea.
I didn't say it was a stupid idea. I said a cruise ship is a pretty ridiculous place because it's filled with gluttons, people who shove their mouths full of food, and
nobody's talking about the people
and lesser than entertainers, people who can't make it in more traditional means. You don't have quite what it takes to go make it on Broadway, so you go on a cruise ship. I'm just saying that it's not.
Nobody's talking about that. I'm talking about being a kid and deciding to go experience something wild.
I know, and you said you're gonna go do it through a cruise ship, and then that just threw me off. I was listening to what you were saying.
Not to like go on a cruise, but to work on a cruise ship.
Work. That's what I'm saying. You live in a windowless cabin. It's not really the best place to go. That's why I asked if you've ever been on a cruise, and that's why I found it to be amusing.
I think it's interesting. It would be interesting because, like I said, there'd be people from all over the place. There would be all these different facets of what these people do for the job. They probably would like.
Well, it's a very specific type of people.
Huh?
You said bring up, you meet people, and now we're way just stuck on this, arguing the semantics of choosing a cruise ship. But the reason. You
started it. You could have just gone with me and been like, interesting point.
I couldn't.
Instead, you had to tell me.
I couldn't because I know what goes on a cruise ship. I know what cruises are like. I know what cruises are like. I know
what cruises are like too.
I don't think you've never been on one. You said I've never been on a cruise.
No, but I've watched shows where people are on cruises and people have worked on cruise. Remember that show? I think it was on VH1 or something, where it was like a bunch of people went for like it was like over summer school. It was in college and they all were on a boat together.
No, I don't remember this, but I don't think that a cruise ship is a good place for life experience. That's all. That's what threw me off.
Well, next time you can think that and you can ask me why I think it's a good place. And then maybe I could make a point and then you could say, I can see that point at least.
So get your life experience. Ellie, don't go to college. Go out.
If she came and said, hey, I have this opportunity for a summer job to go work on a cruise ship, I'd be like, go for it.
Okay.
Because she would come back either hating it or talking about how it was weird and it was funny, or it was she loved it, or she would say, I'll never do that again. I fell in love with somebody and then he broke my heart, and like there'd be all kinds of stuff that go on, I bet.
Yes, that happens outside of a cruise ship. Your point, I'm taking your point. I understand your point.
Next time I'll make some other reference.
I just don't think a cruise ship is the microcosm that you think it is, where you would go.
I don't think it's the only thing. I was just coming up with an idea in the middle of talking. It's not like we planned any of this.
I think people.
So I came up with cruise ship. I'm sorry. Next time I'll come up with like you work at a restaurant. I don't know.
Then go travel, go do things, just not on a cruise ship.
Going to travel costs money.
Okay, get a job doing something. Teaching English in a country where they don't speak English.
Okay, do that. But that's, again, you don't know if you even like that. This is a temporary thing. I was thinking it was a good example, and you shit on it.
I don't think people who work on cruise ships really necessarily like working on cruise ships. You meet.
That's fine. I'm talking about like a one-off experience.
As far as the passengers that come on, it's a very specific type of passengers who think that they're better than everyone else, and who everyone on the cruise ship is less than them. And you go to ports.
That's everyone's experience going on a cruise ship. They all think that.
You go to ports that have been created for the cruise ships that don't reflect the actual bullshit. Cultures. It's not bullshit. You go to any
No, I agree with you. That kind of thing is bullshit. I'm agreeing with you.
Okay. It's the only reason.
Yeah.
I think the example used threw me off. Because I thought, going on a cruise ship to try to find yourself. You come back fucking broken. You'd be no good for anyone for the rest of your life after spending time on a cruise ship.
You're not just spending time. You're working.
Okay. Well, we got way off the topic.
It'd probably be like summer camp or something.
Well, let me tell you that the reason they switched to round windows on a plane.
But you already said it was because of the stress on the thing.
But I just wanted to say, I looked it up so I can confirm. Dangerous stresses at the corners of the square windows. The harsh angles meant that the surrounding metal experienced pressure 2 to 3 times greater than elsewhere in the cabin, which is catastrophic in certain instances.
Okay.
And so they moved to the round windows. And when I'm on a plane, I think of people sitting, especially if you're sitting in the bulkhead that separates you and the toilet, that throughout the flight, as I'm sitting there are people going in there and pulling down their pants and leaking all over the place. And for some reason, they can't seemingly keep it in the toilet. And you go into the bathroom on a plane, and the floor is always wet. And you come out, and then your shoes, it's on the bottom of your shoes, and it gets all over the carpet of the plane. And then you're told to put things on the floor on the plane, under the seat. So you've got the gross water from the toilet in the bathroom, on the plane, dragged out in the bottom of people's feet, embedded in the carpet, all over the place. And then you're told to put your backpack there. And then you pick up your backpack off that disgusting floor.
I agree. I've never thought about that before.
And I think planes should just release the waste as they're flying instead of storing it.
Well, I'm annoyed now because I'm letting you make this point and I'm here with you. And even if I'm not following you the whole time, I let you finish.
How could you not follow me? Where would you not follow me?
Well, how could you not follow me?
You said cruise ship.
I follow you because I let you finish and I listened to the whole thing before stopping you in the middle, saying no, I don't get it. That doesn't make sense.
You brought up a cruise ship. It's a good place for life experience when it's the most commercial venture created.
The best life experience you can get after high school is going. It was just an example, and the reason why I brought it up was because a friend, an adult man, his daughter was trying to decide whether she should go to school right after high school, go to college, or she had this job on a cruise ship. And I was telling her, you should go on that cruise ship, go work on that cruise ship. It's for 2 months or something. You make some money, everything's paid for, but you make the money and you just live on the cruise ship. And I was thinking you'll have all this, you'll do all these weird, you'll have little stories for your life. And she didn't do it. And I was not surprised because she was kind of a dud type of person. But I think about her a lot. And I think that's a great example of somebody that should have if she had done that, whatever your argument against what I'm trying to say is, if she had done that, then she would have later been oh yeah, I worked on a cruise for a while. I was broken afterwards. It sucked. I hated it. Or she'd been yeah, I fell in love with this guy named Jeremy. And it was weird because we'd known each other for 2 days, but we were in love. And then 4 days later we broke up and he was with Samantha, and then, you know what I mean? Just weird little, just whatever stories, passengers, almost falling off the deck, or I don't know, just little things that would have happened. I think it would be interesting. That's all. That's the only reason why I brought that up. Not because it'd be the best example of having a life.
Okay. Got it.
I just get annoyed that I like get shut down sometimes.
Most people who've
And then
been on
by
a
you,
cruise.
who I trust with my ideas and thoughts.
I just want you to go
And
on a
then you're
cruise. Let's do this. Let's book a cruise for you. You go on the
I don't want to
cruise.
go on a cruise.
But then you'll understand. You'll understand why I got stuck on that. It threw me off of your bigger point because I started
I know
thinking about
what a cruise is and I know what it does.
it threw me off.
Okay, it threw you off.
I don't rush into your career. Take some time to figure out who you are. On a cruise ship, the most commercial endeavor created.
Yeah, for the person taking the cruise, correct. Not for the people on it. The
I'm
people
just saying
that
it's not a
on it are
cultural
behind the
experience.
scenes.
I don't find it to be a cultural experience, and I know what
I
you're
don't
saying.
think so either, but it's not about, I didn't say anything about cultural experience.
Expanding your mind and finding yourself.
It's part of that. You go through things and it would be an interesting. Okay, then go work at the local Papa John's. Should I have said that?
If it offers opportunity.
Yeah, of course. Go do that. But like, don't you think you would get more life experience and knowledge about yourself and whatever working on a cruise ship for 2 months as opposed to a Papa fucking John's?
No, not if you're a delivery driver. I think that you stopping at gas stations and different gas stations.
Have you ever been a
and
delivery driver, Greg?
And mapping your routes and meeting people.
People are not mapping routes.
I'm saying if you go to a different gas station, you meet the different ne'er-do-wells who hang out in the parking lot, that you probably would get more from it. Yes.
Well, great. Do that. Then that could have been an example that I could have used if I had known, but I didn't. So you needed to just go with me and let me finish my thought.
Well, we were way off of our original topic, which was
I know. I like fighting. I don't like it, but it's okay to fight with you.
Plumbing and drains.
Because I can feel myself getting like emotional, but it doesn't reach the height. Like it doesn't overfill, like boiling, right? It's like a pot and it's boiling, but it's not boiling over. And I think before I started opening up with you a lot more, I don't think I was able to get like mad without it just immediately like boiling over and I would cry. Kind of interesting.
Because what's the worst that would happen? I'd say, fuck you, I'm never talking to you again. You like cruise ships. You think that
you brought up something I don't understand and then you got mad at me for it.
a person can find themselves. I understood what you were saying.
Okay.
I just got thrown off, is what I'm saying. I understood what you were saying. And what I'm saying is I got thrown off. Because then I could only think about the cruise ship being the means of a period.
Well, you could have asked a question. How would they have learned something? Whatever, instead of like, that's not, I don't even know what you said, but it set me off. Anyway, thank you for letting me get mad at you.
Yeah. I don't understand what I could have done otherwise.
I don't either. It doesn't matter.
You can't control your emotions.
That what?
I can't control your emotions. So
Absolutely.
I don't think you should be thanking me for letting you get mad. I had nothing to do with it.
What I mean overall is like these talks and all of our stuff together has really given me a lot of experience of letting myself be angry and it being okay. And you don't abandon me because you're angry.
Well, I'm not angry at all.
I'm sorry, because I'm angry. Or like I've killed you with my anger. Like you can handle it. You're an adult man. It's not that big of a deal. And then my anger doesn't hold so much weight, as I think it used to.
All right, good.
So that's cool.
I'm glad you feel that way.
Yeah, me too.
All right, that's
sorry
it.
Sorry if I barked at you too much.
Just let it be. I'm fine.
Okay.
Everything's all right.
Okay. Wow, what a fun episode. What?
I was just waiting. I thought you were taking us out.
Oh, okay, I will. You didn't do the signal. Thank you. Thanks everybody for listening, and please support our sponsor hoffandpepper.com. You can use our code OneTopic15 to get 15% off some hot sauce, and that's hoffandpepper.com. Thanks for listening. Share and subscribe, like and share. Bye.